Welcome to the Bledlow Car Festival. I hope you enjoy. It's just a festival full of cars. Come watch.
The Porsche came in from America 2 years ago,
Right.
after a long protracted wrangle with an owner living in Greece, so that's quite interesting. It's a very rare car, born in 1987
Wow, okay.
in the States, and then went straight back to Germany for a massive refit to make it a flat nose.
So how did you come about this car? Was it
Well, I've already got a 1984 Porsche, which I've owned for 15 years in my eBay special, and looking for a flat nose, which is very, very rare, and looked on the internet and found one in America.
Alright.
But the owner lived in Greece. So after a protracted year of negotiations, we got to see the car and eventually bought it.
Right, so do you have any cool stories about this car?
When I went to go to America to pick up the car, the thought was to drive it all the way from Seattle down the Pacific Coast Highway.
Oh, cool.
In a red convertible Porsche.
That sounds
And
lovely.
the day before we got to America, the owner emailed me and said, "Paul, don't come to America, the car is blistered, the paintwork's gone wrong. Don't waste your money." So I said, "But we're coming because I've got a 3-week holiday planned." So we rock up to meet him in Seattle, and the car looks like a teenager with acne. And about a year later, I emailed him and said, "Hey Bill, what's happened to the car?" And he said, "Oh gee, it's in the paint shop. Do you want the car?" So I said, "Oh yes, please." He said, "But you've got to take a '67 Porsche 912 with it as well." So I bought 2 cars, as it happens, as you do.
How about the Merc?
It's quite a rare car. I call it a footballer's car, really, because it's top of the range V8 430,
Right.
and it's got every extra apart from a TV card in it to make the surround sound and navigation system work. So whoever bought that car new had 12 grand worth of extras on probably about a £35,000 car.
Yeah.
And we've just done a big trip to Scotland in it, touring.
How was that?
Absolutely fantastic. Beautiful car. We might take it to Spain next year.
What got you into classic cars?
I don't know really. I think midlife crisis at 40 with an endowment that matured, and I had 10 grand to spare, and I bought a Porsche off a friend who sadly died at the age of 40. So I bought it off the estate, and ever since then I've had classic Porsches. But going back to my teenage years, I think the first cars were Triumph Stags and Spitfires, and I've always had convertibles.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks for
we'll end it there. But thank you very much.
The Impreza I've had since 1997, so 20 odd years. The Celica I've only had about 2 years, but I've literally known it all its life. The Mercedes I've had about 7 years now.
Have you known it all its life?
This particular car was bought by a friend of mine's boss.
Oh, right, okay.
He used to work over in Maidenhead, and Al, my mate, told me all about this car when his boss bought it, because it's a special limited edition car. There wasn't very many of them. Toyota made this car as a rally homologation special, so there was 2,500 built worldwide, but only 300 of them came into Europe, and we're not even sure how many came into the UK.
Oh, right.
Not many at all. So when Al's boss John bought the car, it was a bit of a thing at the time. Alan told me that he was thinking of selling it, and I had a mate I worked with at the time who had a GT4, but he had the ST185, the previous model.
Right.
So I said to him, "Mick, there's a really nice car coming up for sale. I think you'd love it." He went and looked at it, loved it, bought it. He said to me at work one day, "Oh, I'm going to get rid of it, I've had enough of it." And my best man said, "Oh, I'll buy it." So Paul bought it. He spent a fair amount of money doing it up, gave it to his wife, and she used it as a station car. He said to me one night down the pub, he said, "We're selling the GT4. And I said, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't. I'll have it." I ripped his arm off, basically bought it. It looked nothing like this when I bought it. Every single panel was dented, scraped.
Oh, right.
All the lacquer was off the bonnet, off the roof, off the boot. The wheels are all marked. It was in a terrible state. So I spent a bit of money on it. Got it looking as it is today. This started as a 1994 WRX, so it was a Japanese import, So it had lightweight aluminium bonnet, aluminium suspension components, and about 240 brake horsepower, 2-litre turbocharged engine. It's now got a 2.5 turbocharged engine, big turbo, front man intercooler, big injectors. It's got uprated brakes on it. It's got a much later interior. It's from a 2004 car. It's got a 6-speed close ratio box in it with a driver controlled centre diff in it, so you can vary the power backwards and forwards. It's currently running about 430 brake horsepower, about 450 pound-foot of torque in a car which weighs about 1,250 kilos.
Bloody hell. So what got you into classic cars actually?
I think it's a family thing. You've already spoken to Paul. Mark, my other brother's just turned up. He's got 15 or more cars as well. Between us, we've always liked cars, and I don't know why, because our parents have never been into cars, never had anything exciting, never liked driving. But all three of us have always been into motorbikes and cars.
Yeah, so. Was it? So maybe it was when you were a teenager, you were just sort of like a bit rebellious, and
yeah, I think so. I mean, having two older brothers, they taught me to ride a motorbike when I was 10, and I've just always been into anything petrol powered ever since.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much.
That's all right.
Thank you, and I think we'll cut it there.
Just over about 3.5 years myself. Yeah, the previous owner had it since '71. He decided to go racing. He circuit raced it all through the '70s, and then come late '70s decided that it was a bit slow for circuit racing, so he just got into historic rallying. So he did historic rallying all through the 80s, 90s, into the 2000s.
Oh wow, that's cool. Have you thought about doing that yourself?
I have thought about it. I haven't got that far yet. Just busy with children and life and things like that, and other cars to restore.
Yeah, what other cars do you have at the moment?
Actually, I've quite a few, to be honest, Peter. I've got a couple of Austin Healey's, I've got a few more MGs, A's, B's, V8s, and a few more Magnettes as well.
So how'd you come about this car yourself?
Well, I knew the guy quite well because I used to be chairman of the Magnette Register of the MG Car Club, and we were organising our Magnette 60th, and I got put in touch with Jan Pearce, his name was. Unfortunately, Jan passed away a couple of years ago, and got Jan to bring the car along, and he was starting to become unwell, so he was looking for somebody to buy the car, and actually approached me and see if I'd be interested in buying the car.
You're more than welcome to go into the history as well if you're...
Yeah, it's been in the RAC Rally, Lombard Rally, the Pirelli Classic Marathon a couple of times. It's actually won outright a couple of rallies. It's won the
Fantastic.
Targa Rusticana. It's won the La Jog, which is an annual rally from Land's End to John O'Groats. It's been down to the Niel, trial of the Niel. It's all sorts of things. And the car itself, it's totally original from the point of view it's never been restored. It's obviously not original, it's been modified for rallying and racing.
Have you planned anything with it, do you think, or if there's any way you'd like to take it?
To be honest, the longer journeys, I've got an MGB GT V8, and that's a great long distance car. I've also got a big Healy, which is a good long distance car. So I tend to really, at the moment, it just goes more to shows and around locally. But
it's a fantastic looking car.
It is
absolutely lovely thing.
And actually, the Magnettes have always been more my wife's passion. Actually, she's the one who got us into Magnettes originally. So I've got an identical looking car back in Australia, which we're the third owner of, like this one actually. Another little bit of history. It used to belong to the first owner was the Bishop of Truro.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had it from 1957 through to 71.
Wow.
And the previous owner, Jan, when he bought this, a couple months later, he actually bought a Triumph TR2 for £125, and that car was one of the 1955 Le Mans cars.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So that's worth a bit more than £125 and probably many times more than what this is worth.
So what actually got you into classic cars?
I've still got an MG Midget when I was at university.
Right.
And always, I don't know why MGs. I often think probably should just sell them all and buy a Ferrari or something because the value of them all, when you add it all together, it's a lot of money. But the MG Car Club back in Australia was a good club to get involved in. There was a family connection as well. My father had an MG TD, like the one behind us there, when he was younger.
Yeah.
And actually the car I sold to buy my MG Midget I probably should have kept. I had a Holden Monaro GTS which I sold for about $2,500 at the time to buy the Midget.
Right.
And now that car's worth about $200,000.
Yeah.
And the Midget's worth about $10,000. So yes, but no, I've got, it's sort of gone with MGs really.
But thank you very much.
No, great Peter.
And yeah, I think we'll finish it there. Had the car, so 15, 16 years?
Yeah, thereabouts, and this has had a long competition history, sprints, hill climbs and so forth, owned by 2 or 3 guys who used to race, sprint, hill climb, Don Pither, Chris Browning and 1 or 2 others as well. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and always creates interest wherever you go.
Yeah.
Always the...
Because they're very rare cars.
Yeah, people never know what they are.
Yeah.
They never know what they are. So.
Well, they do know what they are, but they're wrong.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Well, how long have you owned your
We've had this one about 10 years.
Right.
But we've had Sabres and Scimitars prior to that for 30 years, I think.
And yourself?
My father bought that in the early 80s. That was the 3rd Sabre he'd got after joining the club in 78.
Right.
So it's been in the family since then.
Right. Why do you guys get the Sabres, obviously?
That's a good question. I mean, we bought a Scimitar
right.
in 1979 or something. I mean, it wasn't a classic car then, it was just a second-hand, reasonably practical family car. That was our car. And to be honest, at that time, I'd never even heard of a Sabre. But over the years, we've sort of regressed and got older and older reliance, and we've ended up with Sabres.
Yeah. And how about you guys?
Similar sort of story, really. I had a Scimitar, but I was looking for something a little bit offbeat, really, to do some classic road rallying, maybe the old Sprinter hill climb, and this one happened to be for sale in early 2000s, 2001, I think, something like that, and it was just too good an opportunity to pass up.
Yeah. How about the Sabre 4?
Well, they came into the family, as so to speak, same as the other two. My father got fed up with cars rusting, so looked out for a fiberglass car, bought a GTE, joined the RSSOC, which is the club, owners club, and heard people talking about Sabres, so it went on from there.
Cool.
And,
do you guys have any cool stories about the Sabres as well?
Well, your car's done the Monte Carlo rally, hasn't it?
Wow.
Being an ExWorks car, it did 2 RACs in the Monte Carlo with the Works.
That's cool.
It's then done umpteen other rallies, which there's a history of, and a load of photographs there. My father, bought it in the very early 80s, which was when historic rallying just came in 1982. The RAC Golden 50 started it all off, and it was invites to cars that had competed in RAC rallies previously.
Yeah.
He managed to get it just done about 3 days before the rally, competed in that, and we've gone on since there doing historic rallies and other bits and pieces. Yeah.
So what brought you guys into classic cars and everything? What was the defining moment, would you say? Or
I can never remember not being interested in cars.
was it so when you're a little boy?
From a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to get sort of motoring news, as it was then, from probably the age of about 10. I don't know why, because unlike John, my parents had no interest in cars whatsoever.
That's a common theme, actually. A lot of people have parents who are not actually that interested in cars, and then they've just gone.
And none of my friends at that time particularly were into cars, so I don't quite know where it came from, but there you go.
But I've always been interested in making things and fixing things, and taking things apart, and I suppose that was just a natural step once I was old enough. I was working, and a little bit of disposable
just became
income.
like a big puzzle piece. Really.
Absolutely,
yeah.
and nothing in a car like this is not fixable. Even just with a basic toolkit, it's all fairly basic rudimentary engineering, if I'm honest. And that has its benefits, that you can take it apart and put it together with a fighting chance that it'll work. And also it means that if it does break down, then also you've got a realistic chance of being able to fix it by the roadside.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I think most of us owners do a lot of the work on the cars ourselves. I can't think of anyone that doesn't.
No, that's
amongst
right.
us.
Yeah,
it's part of the fun.
It's part of the fun. It's well within the capabilities of a competent local mechanic without any real special equipment.
Yeah.
There are about my wife and I are the registrars for Sabres for the club, and there are actually only about 15 Sabre 6s currently on the road in this country, and we've got half of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Half of them here in one day.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Which is quite extraordinary, really.
Yeah. But thank you very much. I think we're going to stop it there. But thank you very much.
I've had this about 9 years now,
Right.
and I bought it when these were pretty cheap, and then in the last few years, prices have gone up a lot, which is sort of nice. But then it means when you want to buy some spare parts, sometimes they're a little more pricey.
Yeah.
But it's a great car, and I just love it. It's very analogue. Very tactile, easy to work on, and it's got a bonkers interior as well.
Oh yeah,
it's
just
called
spotted
Pasha, which is a sort of 80s kind of psychedelic chessboard finish.
That's
in
great.
brown.
Yeah, well, that was it. In the 70s and 80s, brown was the colour.
It was, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And how long have you owned your?
Just about a year now.
Okay.
I had a previous car, a different car, but it was stolen a year ago. So I bought this one as a replacement. Thought I'd like to try a Porsche, and got that to start with. So maybe move up to something a bit more expensive in time.
Yeah.
We'll see how we go.
Why did you go for this Porsche?
I wanted something with a bigger engine, a bit more beefy. So I started looking at 911s. Couldn't really find one I liked. Thought I'll have a look at Boxters, see what there is available. This one was for sale in Gerrards Cross, so went along and had a look, and that was me into the sort of Porsche ownership.
Yeah, you're hooked. How about you with the same question?
Yeah, I was looking around, and I'd always sort of quite liked Porsches. You know, I mean, the trouble is I like so many different cars. It's like, you know, there's always interesting stuff. And this one just came up on the internet, and for some reason, you know, I thought that sort of makes sense, and I thought, well, I'll go and have a look, and I looked at it, and I didn't want much money for it, and I just kind of fell in love with it, really.
Well, that's the thing.
And now I have three Porsches. I've also got a 928 and a 944 as well, which is my 944 is what I call my shopping car and my utility car.
Yeah.
And then these sort of just come out whenever.
So what got you into these sort of cars? I'll start with.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you see these kind of things when you're a kid. You see them racing on TV and stuff, and you always remember certain kind of things. Or you know, I remember being as a kid on holiday and seeing like an old Porsche. And I don't know, what is that thing? What is it? You know, you'd see everyone else's cars which all look the same, and then you see one of those and hear the sound. I just remember the sound of the engines. So yeah, there were those, and beach buggies. When I was about 3, I was obsessed with beach buggies.
Yeah.
So it's like
for some reason.
Was it similar for you as well?
Well, yeah. Since I was about 4, my mum always used to say, "Oh, there's a what's it over there, and there's an MG there, and there's this."
Yeah.
You know, at the age of 4, so it was always cars. It was escorts for me, actually.
Just Porsche is the new thing
Porsche
for you.
is the new thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, starting with that, and we'll see where that takes me in the next few years.
Well, brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
I think that
I've had the car for 6 years this July the 31st, actually.
Right.
So I bought it just under 6 years ago.
What was there any reason why you wanted to get it?
Because I have wanted an E-Type since I was about 8.
Was it your dream car?
It was the dream car.
Yeah.
It became a bit of a family joke. So I used to put E-Type on my Christmas list every year, my birthday list every year, so I got books about E-Types and model E-Types. And then 10 years ago I was very ill for a while.
Right.
So I hired an E-Type to try and get the itch to scratch. And that didn't work, so I then bought one.
Yeah. So how did you come about this car? Was it?
Well, it was like I still do, sadly. Like a lot of people, I look on Car and Classic, the website.
Oh, right.
And I did it on and off for years at work. And you always used to see an E-Type that looked nice, but it was always in Cornwall or Lancaster or Perth or something. It's just far too far. Anyway, so 6 years ago, almost exactly 6 years ago it would have been. I was looking on there one day, and this one came up on a Morgan dealer's forecourt in Cranfield, over near Bedford. I sent the bloke an email, said, "Can I come and have a look at it?" And he said yes. So I went over the following Saturday. This was on a Thursday, and I was the first one to see it. And To cut a long story short, money changed hands.
So what do you use the car for? Is it just sort of like
It's just fun.
in and out sort of every little bit? Yeah.
It does a few shows. It goes to the supermarket occasionally.
Yeah.
But, I get it out at least once a week. Go for, even if it's just go for a drive around. It goes to the supermarket. It has been to Hemel Dump once.
Oh, wow.
'Cause
Fancy.
I needed to take some stuff to the dump and I couldn't take it in my van. So it caused a bit of a stir. To me, there's no point owning a car like this if you're not going to... Half the fun of having one is to drive it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So,
don't want to just sit in a showroom the whole
but
time.
there are some people who do just that, exactly that. It sits in their garage and it doesn't go anywhere except... But I do drive mine.
So do you have any cool stories with the E-Type?
Not really that I can think of, no. Unfortunately, I've had lots of people offer to buy it, and I've had lots of people take pictures of it, and I've had little kids. Traffic lights, they'll stop at the traffic light and so they'll whip their phone out and start taking pictures.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And of course it does attract quite a lot of attention in garage forecourts because people come over and have a look at it, and then you get lots of people who say, I used to have one of those. I sold it. I never mind.
Yeah.
But no, as I say, it hasn't got any major history as far as I know. It had a checkered history in the 1980s, lots of owners in the E-Type bubble of the 1980s. And then the previous owner, I think he had it for a long time, but he spent a lot of money having it restored, lots of work done to it, and then I think he lost interest, traded it in for a Morgan, and then I finished it off as far as I can. There were lots of bits missing when I bought it, and there were loads of things that didn't work. The only things that worked were the things that had to work for an MOT. So we basically got it MOT and got rid of it.
Yeah.
So it has been a labour of love doing the.
That makes you more connected to the car, of course.
Yeah, I do as much of it as I can myself. I mean, there are some things I won't do.
Yeah.
But all the general maintenance and servicing and filling the brakes and adjusting things is.
So what brought you into cars? What was into classic cars?
I like cars. Well, as I say, when I was about 7, I saw what was probably actually one of those. An open-top V12 turning out from the side entrance when I was about 7 on the way home from school. And I thought then I want one of those.
Well, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I bought this one in 2008, derelict, and then restored it over about an 18-month period, and had claimed petrol coupons in the First World War, Second World War, and Suez crisis.
Okay.
And had been through quite a lot of hands. It originally was registered in Scotland, in Selkirk. By 1940 it was down in Gloucestershire, and then down on the south coast over the next few years, and in the early 60s was owned by George Formby of ukulele fame.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think in 1963 the Sharp brothers down in Essex bought it, and they had it in their collection till I bought it in 2008. It had a very hard working life, and when I bought it, it was yellow in colour, had 4 different wheel sizes on it, and a very late Model T engine.
So why did you change the colour? Just because?
Because it looks so dreadful in yellow.
Fair enough.
And this would have been its original colour from the original documentation, which we have a worksheet from Ford.
So why did you buy it? How come you got the...
It's an overgrown hobby with me. I inherited a Model T Ford in the late 70s from my great uncle who'd bought a van new, and I used to rally that, and then I bought another Model T with my brother. 1 became 2 and 2 became 4. And then,
so wait, how many do you own? Just 4?
I'm only allowed 6 or 7, but I deal in them as a part of the hobby became a business.
Right.
And now we sell 1 a week.
Cool.
So 50 a year go out of my workshop, and that can be from a rusty pile of bits to a pristine car like this.
Lovely.
And we often restore for customers.
Lovely. So that answers one of my questions: is what do you normally do with it? Do you drive them yourself?
Yeah, this one, as you can see, the brass isn't clean because I've just returned back from a 600-mile trip around Scotland.
Oh wow!
Over the last week. So yeah, this gets well used. I've done 10,000 miles on this since we restored it in 2008. So they get well used. They're workhorses for me, and I enjoy travelling. And
how often do you go travelling like that?
As often as I can take time off work.
Yeah.
But sometimes it involves work as well, and obviously they get involved with films and that type of thing. So.
Ah, right.
Yep.
Any films that you might know?
This was on
Peaky Blinders, which is
very cool.
BBC, and I think it's been the Citadel and various others. So yeah, when required, they get up and need Model Ts. I generally have one out on a film job somewhere.
That's brilliant. So you don't know if like maybe Tom Hardy or...
I have no idea who goes in them. Don't ask, I just let the film boys use them.
So what got you into classic cars and everything like that?
My great uncle owning a Model T Ford was the main reason. And I've just had fun with them, and as you can see from the sheets on here, this one we've driven halfway up Ben Nevis and carried it to the top as a celebration of one being driven up 100 years ago. So it's quite a historic car in its own way.
Fantastic.
It's a very usable car for a 100-year-old.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.